Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well on this lovely, gray, rainy day. It was actually quite nice when I got up this morning to take the dogs out. Well, it wasn't raining. And then it just sort of got grayer and grayer as we went on, but we can still appreciate the pretty autumn colors outside the window, so that's nice. I was trying to think of what I might talk about today, and you've probably noticed that several folks have been using the Methodist Prayer Handbook, which I think is backwards on my video, but that's all right. The Methodist Prayer Handbook. And it occurred to me that not all of you may have a copy. So what I'm going to do is, in the comments of this, I'm going to post a picture of the readings for the next little bit. I'll probably put 2 pictures up so that you can see where people are coming from when they're going down these readings. But you might have noticed the ones we've been doing lately are from Hebrews, which is one of my favorite books in the Bible. I don't know why, I just always have liked it. And the reading for today follows right on from the one that Anne did on Saturday. And I'll go ahead and read it. It is Hebrews chapter 4, verses 14 to 16. Since then we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. Let us hold fast to our confession. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who in every respect has been tested as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore approach the throne of grace with boldness, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Amen. Now, I was thinking of that passage today, which I have to say encapsulates perhaps one of my favorite parts of what we believe as Christians. And this story that came to mind is one that I read recently. I've been reading, maybe children's books since really lockdown started. And the one that I'm reading now is Little Women. It's a story about 4 sisters growing up in the northern part of the United States during the American Civil War, and their father's away at war as a chaplain, interestingly. The story basically goes on about their growing up and the struggles they all have about, the temptations of youth and trying to overcome their own personal vices. And one chapter in particular is about one of them. Her name is Josephine, and her particular struggle is with her temper. She has a very fiery temper, and she loses her temper quickly, and she holds grudges. And in this particular exciting chapter, it shows what some of the potential dire consequences can be of her not controlling her temper. And she realizes this with a moment of great clarity after these exciting events take place, and she goes to her mother, who is just this beacon of wisdom for all of them. She goes to her mother that night and confesses, and she tells her that the whole potential tragedy could have been avoided if she had just given in and not held on to her anger. And she said that it's her greatest vice, really, her greatest temptation. And her mother listened to her and then said, very surprisingly perhaps for the character, that she understood completely, because her own greatest temptation when she was younger, and even as she got older, was also with controlling her anger, that she also was a hothead. And the daughter is extremely surprised by this because she's never seen her mother lose her temper. And her mother went on to tell her that it was something she had worked at for years and years, and she had the strength and the support of other people who've helped her through that and helped her to control it over time, along with the support of God, of course. And you see, as the book goes on, for one, Jo feeling, relieved to know that she had a confidant who understood what she was going through. But also, at one point, she receives a little letter, a little note from her mother that said, I've watched you, and I've watched you work at controlling your temper. And even if you feel like no one else has seen it, I have noticed, and I want to say that I'm proud of you for that, and keep up the good work, basically. And it means so much to Jo to know that she's being taken notice of, especially by someone who gets it, who understands her. And I think that that sort of lesson is what this passage is really getting at today. It's, we all have things that are going on, but how wonderful is it that we have, what does it say? We have someone who is in every respect tested as we have been, but without sin. Someone who has mercy and grace for us because they understand our own weaknesses, because Jesus has been through life as a human with all of the same trials and temptations, although without sin. And I think perhaps that is one of the most wonderful parts of the Christian faith, is knowing that we are not alone, that we're not relying on some God who really couldn't understand what we're going through, someone who's unreachable, but we're relying on a God who's been there, who has become human, who has gone through the incarnation and understands everything. And it's that having someone who can sympathize with us, who we can trust to understand and to show us mercy and grace in that light. That's a wonderful thing, regardless of what our own personal trials and tribulations might be these days. And so, as you go out for the rest of the day, perhaps take a minute to read through some of the passages in this little prayer handbook if you haven't already, and take a minute to think of maybe what your own personal trial or temptation is these days, or one that you've had forever, and take, I guess, another minute to say a little prayer to the one who understands completely all the temptations that we go through and who's overcome them and is happy to encourage us and to contribute to our own work to overcoming those temptations through God's grace. So take care, and I will see you later.